episode 2, and this interview will be on my lonesome. What I did was I put together some questions about well, not questions, but statements on what not to do as an empty nester. Um, and this podcast won't be just about that. It's still unnamed. I do have a YouTube page that I created back in 2019 when I was focusing on creating a podcast that I never utilized, and it popped up for me the other day. And I thought, it must be kismet going on in my life right now. But anyway, I wanted to just talk about some of the things not to do. This week, I had an opportunity to meet with a mentor that I had from 2003 who trained me in mortgage banking. She was so phenomenal and patient with me. I had never done anything with mortgages before. I was familiar with working with really, really wealthy clients in my first job and that I got when I was 22 years old. And that job literally ended for me when I was like 27. I spent 5 years at that bank, and then I came to South Carolina and worked at a small bank, um, African American owned, um, and met an amazing mentor while I was there. And she basically helped me develop the bank's mortgage department. I was the only person that worked in the mortgage department. My manager at the time had no time to train me, and she let me know that um, when I took the position. She said, I don't have time to sit down with you and show you how to do anything. You're going to have to figure it out. So I used my resources. There was an individual who came in who actually helped me get the job at the bank because I was working temporarily at a company, at a mortgage pricing company, and she was monitoring me. She just was monitoring me on the side. I had never met her, never knew who she was. And one day she called me in her office and said, Hey, I really like you, and I think I want to set you up with a different company. And that's how I ended up with the small bank. You know, I was going through like different people, and it's always important to kind of pay attention to what you're doing at work because people are watching you and you have no clue. That's been the story of my career. I was being watched by people and had no clue they were watching me. My name was always in the room, and my name is still in the room as I navigate through accepting the empty nester bird launcher and deciding what I'm going to do next. And it's been very challenging because it's always been very easy for me, and I don't know why, but it was just always easy for me. I just would go in and just do my absolute best all the time. But to not go off on a tangent and to stay focused on what this podcast is about. So today, again, I'm interviewing myself, and these are some of the things that I wanted to like cover. And you'll see me looking down. I'm looking at my phone um, about episode 2, and some of the things that I would recommend you not do as an empty nester is isolate yourself. That was something that I did. I did it because, as I said before, if you had any conversations with me, I'm an individualist and I'm an introvert. So when I came upon this critical time in my life, I did not reach out to very many people. But when I did reach out, um, I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to do it. Even when I was sitting in a therapist's office, I didn't know how to articulate what was really going on with me because I didn't really know what was going on with me. I've been so laser focused my entire life raising my son. So it was a little different not having that responsibility anymore. So the one thing I would say is do not isolate yourself. And do not be afraid to accept the reality of what's happening, because it'll make it easier for you to not isolate yourself. Don't make brash decisions. I made so many of them that I am, trying to rebound from now. And I just want to be honest and transparent about it. It's not been easy. It's not been easy at all. And I'm making the necessary steps to relaunch my life. Like I'm an empty nester too. I'm relaunching my life. Um, and another thing you don't want to do is compare yourself to other people. Everybody's situation is absolutely different. And for me, people were saying things like, you should be excited about your your son doing all these things and going off into the world, and you should be excited about that. You're free. And I didn't feel that way. And I read an article last on Friday. I think it was January 24th, and it was with Andy McDowell, and she said that. She said, I didn't feel like that. You don't know what the void is. I mean, this lady was married. I mean, she is still married to her husband and has three children, three grown adult children that she raised, had a Hollywood career, did all those things. So I'm not comparing myself, but I identified with her statement about the freedom. I honestly did not feel that. I didn't feel free. I felt lost. Um, don't judge yourself. Um, and, it's really hard. You just have to find people that kind of fit the mold. Like, you gotta have a strong support group, and just be honest with the reality that you're in. My son, he literally tried to prepare me for being an empty nester since he was in the kindergarten. I mean, he didn't want to be walked into class. He's always been adventurous, and he never wanted to be led doing anything. He's a natural leader, and I I wasn't picking up on those cues. Even his dentist, his doctors, and they go, he's so adventurous. He's this, he's that, and he's going to be a world traveler. He's going to do all these things. The conversations that he can have at the age of 5, they were just so impressed with it. And they're like, you're not going to have a hard time, getting this kid out into the world. And I never paid attention to those cues that I was given. And don't overindulge. The one thing that I did as a coping mechanism was I became like, I would say to my dad, Dad, I'm a wino. And he would go, don't say that, baby. And I would go, well, I'm going to change it into an acronym. So I'm a woman in need. I drink wine because wine is a woman in need of excitement, and the winos are women in need of sanity. And he's like, oh, baby, you always say something crazy. But it was the truth. I was like just hanging out at parties with people that I, really didn't even know, and just indulging in wine. And I never was a drinker at all. And it was really a coping mechanism. And I've learned to not ignore my feelings. So I probably said that a few times, but those are some of the things that I had to come to terms with in this journey of being an empty nester. And the last thing I have about what not to do as an empty nester is lose faith. You know, I didn't want to lose faith, and I didn't, but it's been very challenging. I've actually grown in my faith relationship since being on this journey. So that's been really fun. I remember this guy asked me, he said, you love to read so much. Do you read the Bible? And it was like when I first met him, and I thought, I can't believe you asked me that, but it's the truth. And then it led me to reading the Bible a lot more. And I love stories, and the Bible is just full of stories. And then you can apply them to your life, and it's a really fun thing. Um, so I I heard this on Wednesday while I was meeting at an amazing luncheon with my mentor from over 20 years, and it was two things that I want to like close out with on episode 2. Season 1, episode 2 of the Unnamed Podcast. Mystery continues. It's where your mind goes, your energy flows. And focus on developing what's in you, in your circle. Block out everything else. I I was so focused on that my entire life, and now I'm reprogramming my brain to do that in a healthy way. And also at the meeting, I heard this is application of knowledge is power. I love it. Not just knowledge is power, application of knowledge is power. That's such a critical word, such a great operative word. Application of knowledge is power. And I'm going to close this out because I don't want to make it about, oh, she's always talking about empty nester, bird launching. But this is my way to relaunch my life without focusing on the empty nester as victimhood, but empowerment. So this is my way of gaining my power back after just a hiatus. So this is it. I always want to keep it at 12 minutes, and I'm about to like go over that. I'm a stickler for that. So I thank you for tuning in. Um, Stay tuned for episode 3. I'm gonna try to do them weekly and as time permits. And thank you for tuning in. I hope that, you know, you get to learn something and you get to be free and just heal or thrive, inspire. That's what my goal is. So thank you. Stay tuned for the Unnamed Podcast episode 3, and hopefully I'll have a special guest with me. It's been really hard trying to get this person, and I think it will kind of bring this whole journey full circle. Thanks for your time.